This week marked the unofficial start of college football. We made the trip to Atlanta for SEC Media Days. Coming up, we'll take you through the sights and sounds for Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn. Plus, two different Northern Little League teams in action this week. The 12-year-olds were trying to win state and keep their World Series dreams alive, while the 10-year-olds traveled to North Carolina to start the Southeast Region Tournament. It's all on The Last Call, and it starts right now. Welcome back to The Last Call. I'm your host, Justin Holbrook. We spent most of this week in Atlanta for SEC Media Days, where coaches are forced to talk to us, the media. It may not be their favorite thing, but it does give us an insight into the upcoming season. For more, let's run it back.
I'm News 3 Sports Director Brendan Robertson, joined alongside by Justin Holbrook. We're here for day 2 of the SEC Media Days, where we saw the reigning SEC champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, go through the media cycle.
Yeah, and head coach Kirby Smart covered a lot of ground, as he always does. One of the things I can tell you, though, he's not worried about Jake Fromm having some fun out on the lake. He said that's actually better than him playing too much Fortnite. Here's more from the Bulldogs' third-year head coach.
The players will embrace you by how you work and what you do around them.
After 2 years, it's clear Kirby Smart is working out pretty well with the team, which is coming off a national championship appearance. But last year's runner-up finish to Alabama and Nick Saban, Smart's former boss, is not something Georgia's head coach is putting much weight on.
You know, it's funny, I had a note somebody sent me that said, no past indicators will allow you a free pass. But the experience that our players were able to have going through that stretch run, I think will draw confidence, not false bravado, but confidence in big games that we have in the future.
Big games such as Georgia at LSU on October 13th and hosting Auburn on November 10th. Those games and last year's success mean one thing: pressure.
It is a privilege. We've earned that pressure, that right to have that pressure, and I tell our players all the time, it's how you embrace it, it's how you think about it. If you let it control you, then it may affect your outcome. If you just go to your day-to-day habits and compete the right way, then you don't let pressure affect you.
On another note, Brendan, Del McGee, he was actually a Columbus native, went to Kendrick. He's also known as an Auburn football player. He just got promoted to assistant head coach last week.
Yeah, was the running backs coach, still is,
That's
and
right.
One of the best recruiters in the country. Great guy
sure.
to have on staff for Kirby Smart. Well, speaking of local guys, Kirby Smart chose former Callaway standout wide receiver Terry Godwin to be one of 3 Bulldogs to represent for Georgia here at SEC Media Days.
From end zone. A spectacular play by Godwin.
Terry Godwin is coming off a career year with 6 touchdowns, many in spectacular fashion. And he's emerged as a leader for this team with the way he carries himself on and off the field. Being at SEC Media Days is a big honor for the big play receiver with the even bigger smile.
It's exciting, and it's also a blessing come true because you watch days like this and dream to be there, and you actually get here. I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, there's so many fans here and so many reporters. It's just a dream come true.
It's a testament to the former 5-star recruit's determination to keep getting better.
You know, you come in as a freshman, you're not really sure like what you want to do, like life-wise, and then you kind of mature. You hit that stage of where, okay, it's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to be the man, be a man, and that's kind of what I did. And I took that under my wing and became the man that I am now.
An example he's proud to set for his hometown.
Speaking from a guy from a small town, I mean, you're going to have to put in a lot of extra hard work because it's such a small town and don't that many people know about it, so you just got to keep working. And once you finally get the notoriety that you need, I mean, don't let that stop you. Push even harder to get to where you want to go.
And when you get there, make sure you've got some swag.
The bow tie was a collective group thing. We kind of came up with it together, and I feel like we're setting a new trend.
That was a collaboration. There wasn't any leader on the boat.
Oh no, I mean we all kind of pitched an idea. We was like, do you want to go to matching suits? We was like, nah, in there kind of think that's playing. So it was all like, let's do bow ties. No one here has done bow ties yet, and I feel like that's something we're setting now.
Why'd you guys leave Kirby out of the bow ties?
Oh, he got mad. He actually seen us this morning. He was like, where's my bow tie?
So I saw them this morning, and I think they all teamed up. They told me that I didn't get the memo on the bow ties, so I Wish they would have let me know that, but I don't think it would have mattered because I wouldn't have worn one anyway.
I guess he didn't get the memo, but, you know, this coach, he has to be professional. He can't swag out like us, but we'll try to keep him up on game soon.
Whose pen is that? Whose pen is stole?
I'm News 3 Sports Director Brendan Robertson at the College Football Hall of Fame here in downtown Atlanta. The last time the Alabama football team was in town, they left with the national championship trophy. A replica sits just upstairs on the second floor along with Tua Tagovailoa's game-worn jersey. But Wednesday, Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide taking their turns at the podium for SEC Media Days.
Well, I've always said before that I really hate to lose, and I think I hate losing more than I like winning.
That sums up the motivation for Nick Saban entering his 12th season at Alabama. The biggest question for this year's team, who will start at quarterback, Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa?
It's yet to be determined. It's going to be determined in fall camp by who wins the team, and there's not really a whole lot else to say about it.
As a freshman, Tagovailoa led the second-half comeback in the national championship, one of 6 freshmen playing offense for Alabama in that game.
And my obligation to our team is to play the best players. So I don't care what grade they're in or where they're from or what their mailing address is. That's kind of what we do. And if they're better than somebody else, then we're going to give them every opportunity to play.
Senior running back Damian Harris has been a part of 2 national championship teams and passed up the NFL to chase one more with the Tide.
We know that our success isn't going to be inherited. So anything that we want to accomplish as a team this season, it's not going to come from the fact that we won a national championship last year. If anything, that's just going to make it that much harder. We know that winning a national championship kind of puts a target on your back.
And Justin, one other note that came out of Nick Saban's press conference, he went back to that story about getting stuck on a boat with his players on Lake Tuscaloosa, reiterated that he did not run out of gas. It was a new boat and the fuel pump was broken. As a result of that story, however, and social media, Saban admits he's now the proud owner of hundreds of gas cans thanks to generous Alabama fans.
Well, really, that's the least they owe him, right? I mean, he's won 5 titles in 9 years, and that success is a big reason why Crimson Tide fans from all over the country, including Columbus, come for SEC Media Days.
We're counting the days. We're counting the days for the season to start, so we enjoy it.
Like many fans in Columbus, Bill and Grady Lee are counting the days to another season and possibly another championship.
The only bad thing about being an Alabama fan is every year we got to change championship T-shirts or something like that. We got to spend a lot of money being an Alabama fan on T-shirts and hats.
Vickers grew up in Montgomery, and so did C.J. Williams, who now lives in Atlanta.
All the females in our family are Auburn fans, so we grew up right there in Auburn country in Montgomery, and we finally got another male in the family, and we made sure we started him off real young, so he knows about War Eagle.
They beat War Eagle.
But Bama country rolls outside the South, bringing fans together from all over the country.
My kids don't know why, since I live in Arizona, why I'm a Bama fan. I got recruited, like I said, back in 1977 when Bear Bryant was here. I had talks with Joe Namath, Kenny Stabler. I've been a fan ever since then.
That dynasty under Bear Bryant included 6 titles, while Saban has won 5 in 9 years with the Tide, something Bama fans in Columbus have over their neighbors who root for Auburn and Georgia.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Auburn fans, there's a lot of Georgia fans. It's okay. We don't worship football, we worship God.
But we roll Tide.
Standing here with former Opelika Bulldog quarterback Jake Bentley, and now the starting quarterback for the South Carolina Gamecocks, going on what would be your 3rd year, maybe we'll call it 2.5. What does it mean to be chosen by Boom to be one of the 3 guys to come here and represent?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great honor. It's a great honor that Coach would, pick me to represent our team, and it's just a great experience here. Answering a lot of questions and just seeing the excitement around football.
What was the worst question you got? You don't have to name who asked it.
Question. I got asked what my spirit animal was. I didn't really know.
You didn't have anything for
No,
it?
I didn't have anything. I couldn't come up with anything.
You skipped your senior season at Opelika. We're thrown right into the mix in South Carolina. Started halfway through the season. You know, when you look back, that the right decision for you? You know, what stands out to you about making that decision?
And, it taught me a lot. I learned a lot through the whole process. Very grateful for everyone at Opelika and what they did for me and my family. But coming to Carolina, it's a lot different than you think. You kind of think you're coming here and, and have a lot of success, and off the bat, it's hard. It's hard to, it's hard to really, adjust that quickly to it. So definitely was a learning curve and adjusting to the game.
There's been a lot of high praise from Will Muschamp and Gus Malzahn for your dad. They think he one day absolutely will be a head college football coach. And what's it like to, to be in the same program with him?
Yeah, it's just it's awesome to be there with him, and it's awesome that Coach Malzahn and Coach Muschamp would say that about my dad, because just how hard he's worked, and I've seen that throughout the years. But it's awesome to have him there and going towards the same goal, and it's just a really cool experience to have him, and just always talking football. It's just a great feeling.
All right, I think your spirit animal could be a Gamecock. We agree with that?
I agree with that.
All right, give me Go Cox.
Go Cox.
All right, Jake Bentley, we appreciate the time and good luck this year.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Of course, the Auburn Tigers taking the podium on the final day here in Atlanta. For more, here's News 3's Justin Holbrook.
In 2018, it won't take long to see how Auburn stacks up against a championship contender when the Tigers play Washington to kick off the season.
Well, I tell you what's going to be a great measuring stick. You're talking about a top 10 team. A lot of people are picking them to be in the Final Four, which they were a couple years ago.
To get them through that game and the entire season, they'll be relying on starting quarterback Jarrett Stidham. His path to Auburn started with a short stint at Baylor, followed by one season in junior college.
It is pretty surreal just to kind of look back on everything and see how far I've come. Working out with 15 and 16-year-olds at a high school, running the scout offense for the varsity defense. Sometimes I don't think you appreciate what you have until you don't have it.
He'll need to rely on an offensive line that lost 4 starters from last year's team.
We do have talent. That's the positive. But how quick that group can come together in jail, they're going to have to grow up in a hurry. And I really feel like that's going to be a big key to our success offensively.
Another key is who steps up at running back after the Tigers lost both Kerryon Johnson and Cam Petaway to the NFL. Malzahn says Cam Martin is the starter right now, and he's looking for a number 2, which could be former Lafayette quarterback Jartavius Withlow. Last year, we saw Auburn dismantle 2 number 1 seeds in the span of 3 weeks. But those wins over Alabama and Georgia both came at home at Jordan-Hare Stadium. This year, they play their rivals on the road.
It would be great if we could split those up. I think if you really look at fairness and equity across the league, nobody else has to do that, but we've got to find a way to overcome it.
On defense, Auburn replaces 3 players in the secondary, but they'll benefit from returning 6 players on the front 7, including their leader and senior linebacker Deshaun Davis.
I'm living a dream right now, man, playing college football, playing in the SEC, representing my state, playing in state, and having a lot of people at home representing and, rooting for me. I'm living the dream right now.
On your side in Atlanta, Justin Holbrook, WRBL News 3 Sports. We'll be right back after this. The Northern Little Leaguers have been to the World Series twice under head coach Randy Morris. They won the whole thing 12 years ago, and they're trying to get back to Williamsport for the first time in 8 years. Northern, in the state championship game a few days ago, they had to beat Peachtree City twice to win the tournament, but that's not going to help. A 2-run home run from Chase Raylick in the very first inning. Northern actually lost to Peachtree City 3-0 on Thursday. It would not stay 3-0 this time, and not in a good way for Northern. Raylick cranks a 3-run shot, his second home run of the game, and there will be no more runs for either team as Northern falls 8-0 to end their season. Congrats on a great run. Northern 10-year-olds still alive, playing Game 1 in the region tournament. They were down 8-2, but came back to force extra innings yesterday. And then Jackson Kennedy, who put Northern within 1, delivers again to the gap in left center. 2 runs come home to score. Northern adds 4 more, and they win this one 14-8. So that means they're in the winner's bracket today. They were tied with North Carolina 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th. No extra innings in this one, though. Runners on first and second. Gabe Dealer bunts it. The throw to first is too high. The winning run comes across to score, and Northern falls 5-4. So elimination game for them tomorrow against Alabama. And from the little leagues to the big leagues, the Braves are back for the second half of the season, facing NL East rival Washington. Ozzie Albies laces a double on Friday to score Ronald Acuna Jr. He left the game, though, as a precaution for a tight hamstring. Freddie Freeman starred in the All-Star game, which was played in Nationals Park, so he didn't even have to leave the city. He turns on that one, a 2 RBI double that scores Acuna and Charlie Culberson, and the Braves go up 5-2 in the 5th. Acuna was batting leadoff for the first time this year, and for the 8th time this year, he's got a home run. He finished 3 for 4, and the Braves won 8-5. And then today, a couple of rain delays, but once they played, Max Scherzer was on fire. He threw 7 strikeouts through 6 innings, and then the home run derby champ Bryce Harper, he won it at Nationals Park on Monday, and he goes yard on Sunday, his 24th of the season, as Washington wins 6-2, so they split the series. Coming up, our so-called experts are joined by a special guest for Picks of the Week. We take a look back at baseball, soccer, and much more after the break. Welcome back to Picks of the Week. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is Brendan Robertson is on to his next job.
He's been deported.
Yeah, that's right. Since he didn't win Picks of the Week and I'm in first, we got to get rid of him. So sorry about that. But the good news is we have Shakira in the house today.
Hey.
So we're going to have some guests rotate through until football season starts. But hopefully we have Shakira back a few times.
Oh, yeah.
So since you're the only woman, I'm going to let you start.
Okay. I have the WNBA first. I'm going to take the Dreams over the Sparks.
Oh, okay.
Over the Sparks, excuse me, on Tuesday, the 24th. And then the MLB series that I've chosen is the Blue Jays over the White Sox, 2-1. And then MLS, I'm going to take Zlatan with the LA Galaxy.
Oh, I like those picks. You did all of them right in a row.
Yeah. Right in
out of the way. All right,
get it out of the way.
Let's do your MLB pick.
All right, MLB pick. We're going to go with the Houston Astros on the road against a surging Colorado Rockies team. I think they can get 2 out of 3 on the road.
Okay, Con?
I'm going to have the Dodgers help out the Braves here with the Phillies. So I'm going to go Dodgers over Phillies. 2 first-place teams. That's a good interesting series.
I'm not going to pick 2 out of 3. I just hope my team wins all 3. I'm taking the Red Sox over the O's without.
I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to take the cop out.
All right, we're doing MLS. Shakira already did hers.
Yep, Galaxy.
Jack, who are you doing for MLS? Atlanta?
Atlanta. Over the. But listen, it's not. It's
the homer. You're a homer?
I'm a homer, but it is a tough matchup. The Montreal Impact have been a rapidly improving team. They've won like 7 straight. They're going on the road. They lost last year in Montreal, so I think they will at least get a point out of this.
Well, that's great. I had Atlanta over Montreal, but I'm going to switch. In honor of Brendan getting deported to Canada, I'm going Montreal over Atlanta. So we're switching that. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, and I'm going to finish it out, the Sounders over San Jose.
Nice.
Okay, and finally we have our personal pick. I'm going to start. I am taking Shakira to beat Jack this week.
Whoa!
There we go. I like this.
I had to do it.
I mean, I know Shakira is good with sports knowledge, but doggone it, man, the shade.
Seemed like an obvious pick, though.
It's the shade. Don't tell me that's your pick, too.
No, my pick is actually, we heard this week, the Falcons are not going to offer Julio a new contract.
Yeah.
My pick is that Julio shows up to camp anyway.
Jack.
My pick, I'm staying on the pitch. Atlanta needs some help. I'm going to go with Orlando City to end their winless streak or pointless streak or whatever it is. It's like 10 straight at this point. They're going to get points against NYCFC at home.
All right, thank you so much to Shakira. That's it for Picks of the Week. The Columbus Lions are in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But whether or not they get 1, 2 home games or no playoff home games, that depended on last night's game at Jacksonville. Lions led 39-21 at half, but only scored 2 points in the third quarter, going for a field goal late in the fourth, but the kick is blocked and Rasa gets slammed. Sharks trying to capitalize. McCain's throw, watch this, it hits the wall, but it bounces into the hands of Larry Brackens, who catches it. And if you're wondering, yes, that counts as a touchdown. Sharks lead by 5. Columbus still has a chance. 4th and 15, but Mason Espinosa's pass is broken up by Marvin Ross. The Sharks hold on to win. Columbus slides to 3rd place, and they lose their 5th road game this year. Also this week, Quavon Hicks left the Columbus Lions. He did so because he received an invite from the Detroit Lions to attend their camp next week. It didn't take much time, though, for Jason Gibson to fill the void. Tonight, the team signed former Auburn running back Cameron Petway. The Montgomery native ran for more than 1,200 yards and scored 7 touchdowns on his way to an All-SEC selection in 2016. His senior season last year was cut short, though, due to injury. Petway went undrafted, was signed by the Minnesota Vikings, and was waived a few weeks later. All right, coming up, Georgia grad Kevin Kisner was tied for the lead heading into the 4th and final round of the Open Championship in Ireland. Highlights are coming up as history was made at Carnoustie. Last year, Jordan Spieth went wire to wire to win the Open Championship. Joining him on the flight out after winning it was the famous claret jug and this guy. former Georgia golfer Kevin Kisner. Earlier this week, Kisner said it would be, quote, cool to return the favor and let him look at it. He said that after finishing the first round in first place, and he kept a share of the top spot entering today's final round. But what everyone was watching was the man in red. Tiger Woods, 4 shots back coming into the day, going for his first major win in a decade. Woods has a birdie putt on 4 and then on 6 right there, putting him in a share of the lead at 7 under. But on the 11th hole, he hit a spectator, and then this shot comes right back to him. He misses a putt for bogey and eventually double bogeyed. Paired with him today was Francesco Molinari, who was 3 shots behind starting the day, but here he is on 14 for birdie, taking the outright lead. And then a rough start for our guy Kisner. Double bogey on 2, a bogey on 3. On 16 now, it's a nice long putt. It helps him save par. But after being in first place for 3 days, he would finish tied for second at 6 under. Spieth was also tied with him for first place, but the 24-year-old fell apart, shooting 5 over par in the final round. And then Molinari, a great approach on 18, would lead to this, a birdie to give him a 2-stroke lead and eventually the win, as he becomes the first Italian to ever win the Open Championship. Okay, instead of doing the thing that you have to see this week, we're simply saying goodbye and thank you to Sports Director Brendan Robertson. Don't worry, he'll still be doing sports, just in a different place. I just want to say I'm lucky to have had him as my first sports director, and we're all lucky to have had him at this station. I learned a lot about this business and myself from working with him, so thank you, Brendan. I know you're not a big thing for cheesy things anyway, but I just wanted to say thanks. All right, thanks for watching The Last Call. We're on every Sunday night at 11:30, and you can follow us on social media at WRBL Sports. Same time next week.